Well, yesterday I posted my review of Darren Aronofsky's new film, Noah. It had what I would call a bacterial effect, meaning something less than viral. I expected my usual 20 or 30 retweets. I woke up this morning to find that my little article on my blog had gone viral, thanks to John Nolte of Breitbart.com, who packaged it in a rather sensational package on Breitbart.com. Since then, this piece has been flying around the internet, tweeted and retweeted and shared on Facebook. I thank all of you for your support, for sharing it. I am so gratified that my piece was helpful to you. In the midst of all of this, of course, there is inevitable reaction and criticism, and there's been several criticisms of my piece that I thought were thoughtful and helpful, and I wanted to respond to them. So I thought we'd take the opportunity on this week's Spindle to do just that. First, there were people who complained about my tone, that I was publicly shaming Christian leaders for endorsing this movie. Yeah, that is very strong language, I agree, but I am afraid that I have to stand by it, and here's why. I cannot very well say, good job, Christian leaders. Good job vetting this movie for your constituents, people that look up to you for wisdom and guidance and discernment in navigating this entertainment-saturated world. Good job, except there's that little detail where the sustained emphasis through the movie was that the serpent of the garden is a blessing, and Noah and his family are receiving the blessing of the serpent at the end of the film. That's just not going to do. I cannot say good job when the job was poor. It was a very bad job. I am calling on Christian leaders to elevate their game, to do a better job, to be better informed, better educated, so better equipped, so that we can equip others to watch entertainment with wisdom and discernment. We really are, I believe, living in a replay of the 2nd century. This stuff will become more prevalent, and we cannot afford to be asleep at the wheel. More substantive criticism. I'm guilty of conflating or treating as one and the same thing Kabbalah and Gnosticism. I think a careful reading of my text actually shows that I don't conflate them. I do very clearly distinguish them. In fact, I have an entire paragraph talking about how these various views conceive of the divine. Maybe it wasn't as strong as it needed to be. Kabbalah and Gnosticism, however, are species of a larger genus. They both flow from a mystical tradition flowing out of Middle and Neoplatonism, and so therefore they are not the same, but they are cousins. What they hold in common is they are monistic in character. They hold what I call the graded universe view. Spirit is way up there, matter is way down here. One theologian called it helpfully the dimmer switch view of reality. You know, the more you turn up the dimmer switch, it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. That's the spiritual realm. And then as you lower it, you get lower and lower down to the material realm. Now, the problem with monistic views like this is they have a very difficult problem accounting for evil and wickedness. Is it itself part of an emanation of the divine? Is there a dark side to God? They're always wrestling with that question. Other groups, Gnostic particularly, were radically dualist in their view. Markian, for example, God of the Old Testament, God, the Creator, is an evil God. There's actually a more pure, true God above and beyond the Creator, radically dualistic. So monistic views take different ways of handling this problem, the problem of evil. Darren Aronofsky's movie, I believe, falls somewhere on this spectrum. It is monistic in its worldview. I believe that the circular rainbows at the end are a dead giveaway. It's a sign of the Ein Sof, or it's a Kabbalic or monistic symbol. So it's not true that I conflate Kabbalah and Gnosticism. And finally, just within the last hour, Peter Chataway on Pathos.com published a rebuttal to my review. Imagine how pleased I am that I actually wrote a review that warranted a rebuttal. Mr. Chataway's rebuttal is quite fascinating. He is very well connected in the entertainment world. His blog on Pathos is a film blog. Apparently, he's even interviewed Darren Aronofsky from time to time. I'm gratified that Mr. Chataway confirms my suspicions when he completely admits that Aronofsky was reliant on all sorts of Kabbalic and Gnostic and otherwise sources for his movie on Noah. So I'm completely not off track in identifying the sources, and I'm grateful for that. The meat of his criticism is that it's really not a Gnostic movie because it doesn't fall into the category of the radical dualism of which I just spoke, so it can't be characterized as Gnostic. Here's the problem with that. Again, these are species of a genus. The problem with that is that even in Kabbalah, if there's not necessarily a different deity altogether, you do have the divine doing evil things like the deluge, or allegedly evil things like the deluge. And in these kinds of views, what you end up with is it's a separate God. You have God was immature, and this is a phase in the development and growth and evolution of the divine to higher levels of goodness and deity. So you don't really get around the problem by simply saying, well, no, it's not a Gnostic separate God. You still have one and the same thing at the end of the day. So thank you, Mr. Chataway, for taking the time to read my piece. I do appreciate it, and the rebuttal. I think that at the end of the day, what you're saying is that I'm right. The imagery is there. Aronofsky did use these sources, but I find your attempt to find alternative interpretations of things like the Watchers and the serpent's skin to be really stretching it. If it's true that Aronofsky intended non-Gnostic interpretations of the serpent, then he has, in fact, outwitted himself, for he has presented us with precisely the opposite. Thank you.